Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good afternoon, dear listener. It is Friday, February 1st, and we're just coming out of a nasty cold snap here in Chicago. If you've been following the news at all, you know that the polar vortex drifted down from, well, the pole and hit Chicago really hard. A couple days ago, it was negative 24, I think was the coldest it got here, and that's before wind chill. So with wind chill, they were saying it was 40 below or more, and you shouldn't go outside if you can avoid it for any reason. We did that on Wednesday, just stayed in the house all day. Thursday, I took the kids over to my design partner Rob's house, and we hung out there, did some play testing, let the kids burn off a little energy. It was good. Now Friday, it's about 20 degrees, and the sun is out, and it's reasonable to walk to get my son from the library after school and to do an episode for you. I've had a number of questions show up in the Pick Up and Deliver Guild. Thank you to those of you who've stopped by and said hello, dropped off some questions, given me a few things to think about. I appreciate it. So I thought I would start February with a kind of grab bag episode where I'm answering a few different things. And then probably in the next episode, I'll review my month of gaming, talk about my progress in the 10 for 10 and that sort of thing. If you want to get some spoilers on that or see in detail what I've done, I do update my post on my geek list that I keep each year, and I've posted that in the forum as well. But so the three comments I wanted to talk about today were some games, either games I've played or games that are coming up soon, and my thoughts on them. These questions came from Douglas Klipfel and Chris Hickman in the forum, so thanks for stopping by, fellas. First, Douglas had asked about the newly announced Journeys in Middle-earth. This is a new Lord of the Rings game from Fantasy Flight. I've looked into it a little bit. It seems to be basically taking the Descent engine and applying it to the Lord of the Rings license. If you haven't played Descent 2.0, particularly with the computer-guided Dungeon Master character, it's no longer one versus many. It's cooperative, and then you have an app assisting in the gameplay. They use this model very successfully with Mansions of Madness and somewhat successfully with Imperial Assault and Descent. I will say I really have enjoyed the games of this that I've played. When I played Descent using the Descent app, I thought that was great. I've really liked I think I've had 3 good plays of Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, and I liked all 3 of those quite a bit as well. So as a model for gameplay, I really like it. I will admit, I'm sort of Lord of the Rings'd out. I really enjoy the Peter Jackson films. I've enjoyed the Lord of the Rings games I've played. I played the card game just a little bit. I've played the old Reiner Knizia cooperative game where you're fighting against, you're trying to carry the ring across the land or whatever. But honestly, I've never really had the deep love for the IP that a lot of people do. And so the prospect of another Lord of the Rings game doesn't really do much for me. At some point, I really would enjoy playing War of the Ring, I think. That's supposed to be, among the best 2-player war games ever made, or 2-player board games. So I would certainly enjoy that, and I'd be excited to try that. But, ultimately, I'm not that excited about the Descent or Lord of the Rings Journeys into Middle-earth. That said, if I run into somebody who's setting it up and they say, "Hey, Brendan, you want to give this a try?" Absolutely, I'd like to give it a try. It's definitely in my wheelhouse. I think with the other adventure games I already kind of have, I don't see myself diving too hard into it. By contrast, Douglas also asked what I thought of Arkham Horror, the Living Card Game. Oh no. Now that I think about it, was he asking me about... Doug, were you asking me about Arkham Horror 3rd Edition? Well, I'll answer both. Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, I have about the same reaction that I had to the Lord of the Rings game, actually. I mean, I like the idea of playing it. I think the stuff I've read about the way that they reformatted it, all of those changes sound good to me. It sounds like they get rid of a lot of the stuff I disliked about the original Arkham Horror. But ultimately, I'm not going to seek that one out either. Again, if someone's setting it up, say, hey, I got Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, you want to give it a try, I definitely would say sure. But I'm not too keen on trying it. Arkham Horror the Living Card Game, on the other hand, dang, I like that game. I like that game a lot. I've now played the introductory scenario and 2 full campaigns. We played the Dunwich Legacy and we played the Path to Carcosa all the way through, my wife and I. We did much better on the Dunwich Legacy than we did the Path to Carcosa. Next up, we're going to try the Forgotten Age. I do have all of the, I think that's the 3rd one. I do have all of the packs for it. So I'm very excited about that. The Return to Dunwich Legacy box set just came out. So I've got that waiting for me at my FLGS, and I'm very excited to pick that up. Overall, it continues to be great. You know, it hits many of the things, Arkham Horror, the Living Card Game. If you've never played, it is an adventure-style game. When they built it, or when it came out, it was sort of talked about that they started with the same basic approach that they use in the Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, and then amplify from there. And certainly that's a big part of it. You can see the bones of the one game in the other. But Arkham Horror is very different. The big thing is the locations. The way they manage locations is really effective. The enemies are really interesting. There's a number of different randomizing systems, ways that you test skills that work really well. The enemies are... The game is pretty hard. I mean, I'd say the biggest downside is the game is really hard. So it's difficult to feel like you're doing great because you can really just get kicked in the face by the game. And that's not super fun. But, I mean, I certainly am like a lot of people when we play that. We have a couple house rules that we use that just make it a bit more fun. You know, house rule number 1, we have an extra +1 token in the bag. So we play on easy, but then we actually threw an extra +1 token in the bag, which means that it just helps our odds a little bit more. My wife and I also usually each take 1 mulligan pull per game, where we pull a token and say, oh, that's not the token I pulled. And we just set that token aside and pull a different one. Yeah, maybe that's cheating a little, but it's a pretty nasty game. And if we can't have fun with it, we aren't going to keep playing it. And so I don't feel any shame about that. But it's really fun. We've done quite a bit of deck building. I will say the Dunwich Legacy, we both like our characters much more. I played Zoe, and my wife played Daisy, the one who likes books, and that went really well. Then in the second campaign, I played Jim, the jazz musician, and my wife played Jenny Barnes, the socialite, and we did much more poorly. We didn't do nearly as well, and that, I think, a lesson for us there is well-rounded characters aren't as interesting for us as specialized ones. So I think we're probably going to lean back into the investigator guardian combo for the next session. I think it will be fun for us to do it that way. So that's kind of where we were, but we've enjoyed all the adventures, and we did well enough on them that we never had to stop. Like, one of the things is both campaigns, I hope I'm not ruining too much. If you do badly enough on Adventure 7, you don't get to play Adventure 8. But we got to play Adventure 8 on both campaigns. So that was fun. So all in all, I would say Arkham Horror, the Living Card Game, is fantastic. Well worth the play. That said, it's probably a pretty big buy-in. I mean, if you're going to go all in, it's pretty expensive to buy cards every month. But budget-wise, it was okay for me because Netrunner stopped right as I'd been buying Arkham Horror for a year already when Netrunner stopped, but now that Netrunner stopped, that part of our budget has opened up a little bit, so it works fine for us. So Arkham Horror Living Card Game, absolutely approve. Finally, I thought the third thing I would comment on for a minute here before we wrap up is Hellboy. Chris asked what I thought of the new Hellboy trailer and if I wanted to talk a little bit about Hellboy. I'm really excited. Honestly, I haven't watched the trailer yet because when I know I want to watch a movie, I try to avoid anything about it. So I know I'm going to want to watch the new one. I like the IP enough. So I didn't watch the trailer because I don't want to spoil anything for myself. That may be silly, but that's the way it is. So, haven't watched the new trailer yet, although I've seen some pictures of the actor who's playing Hellboy in the new one, and I think he looks like he suits. I'm a little sad that it's not Ron Perlman anymore, but, you know, he's getting older, and Hellboy really is a younger character, I think. Even though, in the narrative, he's much older. I apologize for all the noise. I guess I picked a kind of busy road to walk along, so there's lots of road noise. Oh, well, I'm sure you signed up for that, right? Hellboy, the character, holds a special place in my heart because he's one of the first comic books I read extensively. I didn't read comics when I was a kid. In fact, I didn't read comics really till I was in college. I took a class on comics and animation my first semester in college, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I got into the medium in a way that sort of dove deep, and I had to ask around what I should read, and I had two people who gave me advice. One who was really into storytelling and narrative, and he gave me a bunch of comics that I should read. And the other who was more into art, and he gave me a bunch of different comics I should read. And one of the ones that was his favorite was Hellboy. Mike Mignola's style has a particular kind of starkness to it that's really pretty incredible. The story itself is it's a fun, pulpy story about a little demon that's raised by good people, so it's nice instead of evil. And it fights supernatural problem causers. Yeah, that's not a good word. Supernatural. And it fights things that cause supernatural trouble. It's just a fun character. He's a little raucous. He's kind of an anti-hero or a grotesque hero, but I really enjoy him. So when I saw that they were coming out with an officially licensed Hellboy game, especially based on the comic, that's as close as I've gone to all in on a big board game Kickstarter. I mean, I got all the expansions. I did not go for the super extra resin miniatures, nor for the 3D furniture. I think that's where I drew the line. But all of the game content I got, all of the models that were related to gameplay I got. So I'm going to have a couple giant boxes from Mantic Games coming sometime soon. And I'm really excited to see how that turns out. So yeah, that's my experience with Hellboy. I'm curious, do any of you have an IP that you've encountered and then became a board game and you just got really excited and dove in? Can't wait to hear what those are. You can let me know what they are by stopping by the Pick 'em and Deliver Guild over on Board Game Geek Guild 3269. That's just about time for me. I'm about to cross a very busy road, so I should probably stop recording before I get hit by a car. Thanks for joining me on the walk, and I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Take care. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.